realistic one. And on a side note, what we learn from that is that we should ask Allah Azza wa Jal du'as. And the concept of dua, it really has become very confusing for Muslims. We make dua for all kinds of things, right? Somebody gets sick, we make dua for them. We make dua for our children and their well-being, dua to get, somebody for somebody to get married or whatever else, or somebody to recover, or somebody to find a job. We make all these kinds of duas. But the thing is, you can easily categorize duas into two. You can break the things you ask Allah, you can break them up into two. One of those things are spiritual in nature. You're asking Allah for guidance, for strength, to carry out His commandments. You're asking Allah for patience. You're asking Allah for a bigger heart so you can forgive. You're asking Allah to help you deal with a situation, whatever it may be. Those are spiritual du'as, right? They're in a sense, helping your iman in some way or the other. They're strengthening your faith in some way or the other. The other side of du'as is what? Stuff you ask for your life. For a family member, you're making dua. For a better job, you're making dua. For your studies, you're making dua. For getting into med school, somebody's making dua. Somebody just wrote to me recently, they've been trying to have a child. They haven't had a child for 6 years. They're making dua, So there are du'as that are worldly in nature, in one way or the other. And there are du'as that are spiritual in nature, in one way or the other. The thing about it is that Allahu Ta'ala Alam, what I've been able to understand is that we ask Allah the loftiest of things when it comes to the spiritual, and we're supposed to. We're supposed to ask Allah for the highest levels of Jannah or the strongest of faith. And there's no holds barred when you come to ask Allah about taqwa or iman or forgiveness or patience and perseverance and firmness in faith and all of those kinds of things. And those doors are open without restriction. When people ask for those things, Allah gives those things without restriction. There is no limit to what Allah gives. Allah doesn't say, well, I'll hold that back from you. You ask for iman, I won't give you that though. Or you ask for taqwa, but you can't have it, etc. When you genuinely ask Allah for those things are given immediately. The difference, however, is when we ask Allah for the other stuff. Somebody made a lot of dua that their father's in critical care, that they be healed, and the father passes away. Does that happen? It does. And then they're like, I made all this dua. What was the point of it? Why didn't it matter? I've been making dua day and night for what's happening in Syria or what's happening in Palestine. And I've been making dua for the people of Yemen or the people, the Rohingyas or whoever else. But the crisis continues. What's the point of this dua? In other words, you're not going to see an immediate response to your du'as when it comes to them being what in nature? Material. When they're about worldly things, then the question arises, why even make that dua? What's even the point? The thing is that what seems to be the case in, at least what I've been able to understand of Quran, is that we are to ask Allah about worldly things with humility. What that means is I have to acknowledge, I actually don't know what's best for me in the worldly sense. I actually know absolutely what is best for me in the otherworldly sense. Taqwa is the best thing for me. Iman is the best thing for me. Sabr is the best thing for me. Absolutely, no doubt about it. There's no ambiguity that those are the best things for me, no matter what situation I'm in. But having a kid, is that the best thing for me? Or I don't know. I actually have to have the humility to say, I don't know. You know the story we went through in Surah Al-Kahf, and the child is killed? Was that child the best thing for those parents? No. But they don't know that. They're still going to cry and suffer because they lost a child. There's no way for you to know. There are things that are happening that on their face value are extremely tragic and painful. And you're praying for them not to happen. But you and I lack the wisdom of Allah and the view of the grand plan of how this, what seems to be bad, is actually good in the long run for not just you, but for a lot of other people. Or the good in the overall sense outweighs the bad that you see here, by leaps and bounds. We don't know those things. All we know is what we see immediately, and we make dua for that. So the way that the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ deal with this, if you survey all of the prayers of the Prophet ﷺ and all of the prayers of the Quran that ask for something worldly, you'll notice the language is always general. The language is never what? It's never specific. It's never specific. And that's actually by design. You can make dua for like a 95 on a test, or you can be specific, But you know, when the more specific you are, like, Ya Allah, give me a son, or give me a, somebody's making dua for that, Ya Allah, let me find me someone who is to marry, who is a United States citizen, who can give me a green card really quickly, who is, this tall, and my mother likes her because, and she's from the same zip code in Sialkot, and you could ask for all that stuff. You can get very specific in your du'as, can't you? Like a wish list? You could, but if you study the spirit of worldly prayers in the entire religion, you'll notice that there's what there? Always? Ambiguity. Ambiguity. Ibrahim alayhi salam has a son with him right now, Ismail. He's making dua. Allah just said, I'm making you a leader. Immediately you be very specific and say, can I get a guarantee of this one right here? But he's thinking future generations and saying, some out of my generation? He's being realistic, isn't he? And he's broadening the scope of what he's asking for. Like to have the humility to put the brakes on what you really want and then say, Ya Allah, just give me something good. You know what's good for me better than I do. I know I really want this, but Ya Allah, just something good. There's a guy and a girl that are engaged. They're ready to get married. Something happens or the other. The girl says, I don't want to anymore. The guy is devastated, or vice versa. Right? And now she's making dua, Ya Allah, just change his mind. Ya Allah, please. I can't live without him. Or he's on the other side, Ya Allah, please, just make her eyesight worse so I start looking better to her. Or something like, and then it doesn't happen and your faith is shattered. Why? Because what you were asking was far too what? Specific. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حسنة, just hasana. It's not like سيارة وبيتا وابنا like it's just hasanatan. It's just open-ended, So that's actually, and I actually believe that if you don't internalize that spirit of dua, then it lands you into a lot of trouble. It lands you, but on the other hand, you have like the Prophet ﷺ, ask Allah even if it be for a shoelace, right? So that's there too, right? But what does that mean? Even if you're in the need of a shoelace, if you're in the need of the smallest of things, ask Allah. Ask Allah, what your need is. Don't ask Allah how that need is fulfilled. That's the difference. Ya Allah, I'm hungry. Ya Allah, give rizq. Not Ya Allah, give a double cheeseburger with extra mayonnaise. Because where that rizq will come from, you don't know. Ya Allah, I don't have shoes. I need Nikes. No. I just need shoes. Ya Allah, just give me something that can alleviate my difficulty. And Allah will provide. Because يَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. He provides from where you can't imagine. So you and I have limited imagination. We have something in front of us, that's what we want. That's not the case. There's something much better for you that you can't see, that you have to learn to ask Allah. But that, again, is only possible for people when they stop thinking like consumers and they start thinking like slaves. Because when you're a consumer, you place very specific demands. And you say, I paid the price, I placed the order, I charged the credit card, why isn't this delivered? And now we bring that consumer attitude to dua and say, I made this dua like 85 times. I still didn't get it? What kind of deal is that? I'm not making dua anymore. And this can really mess somebody's relationship with Allah up, right? So which dua is given response immediately? And you have to have absolute faith it will be answered. Which kinds of duas? Spiritual ones. And they, by the way, are far more important. And they far outweigh, across the board, they far outweigh anything material you ask for in this life. Even though just literally the weight and the volume of those du'as is so much greater than this side. As a matter of fact, even the physical everyday things you do, when you think of the du'as that you make, when you enter the home, or when you enter the bathroom, or when you get into a car, or when you change your clothes, etc., etc., those du'as, you'll notice that they're entirely spiritual in nature. They're actually entirely spiritual in nature, You're getting in a car, Subhanalladhi sakhara lana hadha wa ma kunna lahu muqrinin, and then you're like, wait, I'm going from here to that destination and I'll come back home. But وَإِنَّا إِلَىٰ رَبِّنَا لَمُنْقَلِبُونَ. We're going to be coming back to our master. Like that's our actual home. Like you acknowledge that as soon as you get in a car. SubhanAllah. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight on the side about the nature of dua, which I do feel, if not given due consideration, can become very deadly for people. And it can really, really shatter their faith, you know?